Yo, 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 what is up? Fun little 4-game slate we're going over. I know the clickbait title, talking about Kawhi a little bit. I feel like is he the most frustrating player to have on your roster right now? And injuries suck. So, I'm not trying to, put it on Kawhi because obviously he wants to be out there. He wants to play. But is there a more frustrating player to roster right now than Kawhi Leonard?
As a guy who has him on a roster right now, no. But it doesn't help that I also have 6 other guys that are out as well. So yeah, it's very infuriating, especially when you know that Kawhi has said I feel fine. So it's one thing for him just to be out and he's actually hurt and he's gonna take time, but to know that he's okay and he could play, but they're just choosing not to, it makes it
Yeah, and I know that he's got some tightness stuff that they're talking about. So I think it's a little bit of both, he wants to, but also dealing with some stuff. But yeah, especially with where you drafted him too. I think that's the biggest thing is people in fantasy in general, and this is across all fantasy. I think NFL, NBA, whatever fantasy you play, people tend to really, really hold on to where they drafted players and big player names. So yeah. I think it has to be accepted. Kawhi, you should not have drafted Kawhi where you drafted him. That's we have to put that out in the universe, right? So then it's about determining his value at this point and moving forward. Because even if he does make the comeback, he's going to be resting back-to-backs. There's going to be stretches where, hey, he's going to be out 2-3 games because he's feeling some tightness or whatever. There's going to be, hey, maybe it's a ramp up too, even when he comes back, like we saw at the beginning of the season. So I think that's just kind of, I wanted to point that question out at the stream title because I think it's important, because the earlier you make that decision, I think the better off you can be, especially if you get good value, right? Because if this continues and we're heading into, teams have played 15 games and we're still dealing with the same thing, I mean, his value is just going to keep dropping. So yeah, he was and I'm going to be honest. I mean, we talked about him. He was a buy low for us, and this was before he's going to miss 3 to 6 games with tightness and, the management and what's happening right now, because he looked good in the time he had. It was limited minutes, but you were expecting those to come up. But yeah, it's tough, and I don't want to lead it off with a frustrating topic to talk about, but I think it's important. But we can get into the games tonight, so I'll pull those up. But throughout, if you guys have questions or things about Kawhi, I see a trade in the chat. What's up, Grant? Traded Kawhi Leonard today in a points league. I moved him for Vassell, Brunson for Conley and Leonard. Is this a W for me? Yeah, I think so.
I think like that, actually.
Yeah, I really like that move. I think Kawhi is one of those guys where you don't want to move him for a player who feels like a very solid late pick, but I'm fine moving him for a mid-round guy who's performing well, like a Brunson, and getting Vassell on top of that too. And Conley's been pretty solid, but I think the upside of Vassell and Brunson is 100% worth what you're having to deal with. I had to sell high on Cade. Yeah, I think Cade, he's going to be... Okay, so we can talk about Cade for a minute here because we're Pistons fans. We'll always talk about Cade. I mean, the breakout started. I don't think that he's going to be able to maintain what he's been doing over the past couple games, but it's definitely going to be in between what he's doing now and what he did to start the season, which I know is a little frustrating for people, for Cade managers. So for me, what was the sell high? I see the broken heart. I want to hear it. We won't roast you. We're Cade fans, so I'm going to preface it that way. But I'm just curious if you want to talk about it. I want to see what Cade is getting on the open market right now. 10-team head-to-head league. Kawhi for Valanciunas.
I would try to go somewhere else with that. Personally,
it's tough.
I don't know. What do you think?
It's tough because I think we really have to kind of. You have to. One for one. But I did get him. Wait, okay, you're fine. Never mind.
All right.
Okay, yeah, that's a sell high. There's no conversation that needs to be had there. Good job. Amazing.
Yeah. Good move.
It's even if Cade has the breakout, that's the peak. It's not going to be Embiid numbers. No. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Okay. Sorry, that threw me off there. No, I think the Kawhi value is so tough because I don't know how hard I can argue either side. Because I think if you're getting a player who you feel is going to be able to provide consistent value for you across the season, it's hard to find where the cutoff is, because Kawhi's range of outcomes are pretty crazy. But I do think you have to kind of start from the point of what's the peak you can get out of Kawhi this season? best case scenario, he's feeling good in 2 weeks. And hey, we had to ramp up for a week. So 3 weeks from now, hey, Kawhi's good to go. He's going to rest the back-to-backs, but for the most part, he's back to normal for the full season. It's just the upside. Yes, it's there, but like, how realistic is that?
I mean, I think it's pretty realistic. It being in a couple weeks, maybe not. But
right.
Like,
exactly. So I think what we're talking about is maybe a month and a half from now. You could be like, okay, Kawhi's somewhat back. Like he's playing starter minutes and resting some back-to-backs, but he's pretty much back to normal. But obviously,
I feel like you could get better for.
Yeah, I think name value can get better than Val, but yeah, it's tough. I'm trying to sell KPJ. Wait, Kyrie for Scotty Barnes? Don't sell Kyrie off of today's game.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah,
it's just a bad game.
Yeah, it was tough. Maybe it was just like his worst half of all time. What was he like? 0 points in the first half. Like,
he only played 13 minutes in the first half as well. Like that doesn't help. And then he couldn't shoot his way back into form. So it's like, just don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm not worried at all. I think here's my biggest thing is players who we've seen consistent value and are even in similar situations we've seen from them previously. Bad performances or tough starts. It's like, what's more likely to happen? Kyrie is like significantly worse than he's been over the past 5 seasons, or he's just had a couple rough games. That's kind of right. I think it's going to be at. I'm trying to sell KPJ, Vassell, and Mathurin for Tatum, and the guy still says no. Why aren't people willing to take these good players? Yeah,
I would do that. I mean, it depends if it's like a
right. And how many players are you starting to like? I mean, how many teams? Right. What other pieces is he not going to be playing? But in an NBA fantasy, getting 3 players that you're happy to start every week is pretty massive. So it depends on like if it's a smaller league, right, and everyone's teams are nasty. I get it. I get it. Because usually, I mean, in fantasy for the most part, you don't want to move studs. So we get trades for people who are like Harden plus, I don't know, Mathurin for Ivy and Jalen Green, and it's like, well, or not. That's not a good example, but it's like people that are trying to like move hard. Okay, what's a better one? Harden for
like a 1-4 for 2 and 3 type of thing. You're saying?
No, I was trying to do a 2 and 2, but it's like you're giving away the best for like the 2 and 3. So you're giving away the Harden and then the 4th best player for 2 and 3.
So like Harden and Conley for like Jalen Green and
Evan Mobley or something.
Jay McCollum, something like that. Yeah,
for sure. That's a bad example. It's tough on the fly. You got to go through the drafts for it. I just want to say Jaden Ivey out loud. We're Pistons fans.
Close game too, by the way. Big game against Warriors. Close game against the Bucks.
Yeah, we're not gonna. I think we get like a 5-minute max for the Pistons when they didn't play a game tonight.
Moving on.
I flipped Dennis Smith for Bam before Bam. Oh, dude, that's crazy. I'm excited for Dennis Smith, the story, but LaMelo and Terry are coming back.
What? How the heck did you do that?
I don't know if I would do that if LaMelo and Terry were out for the whole season. I don't think I would do that.
Yeah, no, I don't know how you did that, but kudos to you for swindling someone.
If that's a money league, can I get an email invite?
Yeah,
Join next year. Thank you, sir. Somebody offered me Kyrie for Scotty Barnes. I'll take. Oh yeah, for sure, dude. It's just like best case. How is best case Scotty this season is not going to beat out Kyrie full season, and there's no concerns with like. Okay, I'm not going to say there's no concerns with Kyrie. Kyrie's got some weird stuff going on. But from like we're not in the COVID year of Kyrie not being able to play home games and whatnot. Like, he'll be fine. Is Bol Bol a sell high or a keep? I'm happy we're talking about Bol Bol early. He's just playing big minutes, dude.
Yeah, and Terrence Ross going down too. Like, I think he's a pickup. Yeah. He's a pickup. If you have him, you keep him. Or, I mean, I like both. I don't like if you can shop them and sell them.
Yeah, it depends on what you can get.
It's not going to be sustainable. They have so many injuries, right? But like even when he is coming off the bench and playing some solid minutes, even with the people not injured, like he's doing fine. But like this is going to be peak Bol Bol, right? So you can shop him by all means. If your league mates aren't kind of thinking ahead, then definitely take advantage of that. But yeah, he's a perfect player that you can just like pick up, and I think it's very fun to play Bol Bol right now and have him on your team.
I mean, we just like do we feel like we've been kind of robbed of like not getting big Bol Bol minutes from the teams he's been on in the past? Because he looks pretty good, and I think the Magic are the perfect team because they're willing to play like a 4 big lineup,
an alien lineup. Yeah, no, I think he was just like really. I think like with the Nuggets,
very raw. Yeah,
it's so raw. Like he's very unpolished, and he still really isn't. But like, he's getting better, obviously. And then the things that he can just be a freak at, like defensive rebounds. You don't have to be uber talented. You can be athletic and raw.
Yeah, like he's not going to be a high volume guy offensively. I mean, just naturally. But he's been kind of showing a little bit. I mean, we've got some Bol Bol like Euro steps going on. It's fun, man.
So
yeah,
the trees are swaying.
Yeah, like he's not going to be able to do what he's been doing, right? But I mean, if he's just gonna play, I mean, he got 30 minutes here. He's been consistently playing like 28, 30 minutes, and if you're getting that from Bol Bol, I know there's a lot of injuries, so I expect him on the end of the season when, you know, Suggs, Cole Anthony, Fultz, they get some of their guards back. I do expect those minutes to go down. So he's definitely a sell high right now because I think this is peak Bol Bol, but we kind of laughed him off. You know, we saw these big games early, and what we've seen from Bol Bol, we were kind of like, yeah, I'll get you a few blocks, haha, lol. Yeah, but he'll do that, but if he's going to play 30 minutes, he's going to get you 7+ boards and
that was
of buckets.
Yeah, that was obviously with the notion that he's coming off the bench and going to be playing quarter minutes or inconsistent minutes, but now he's falling into a great spot. Guy said, guys, I got offered Ben Simmons and Klay for Gary Trent Jr. What do you think? I'm thinking I should take it, but Klay giving me doubts. Yeah, I don't love Klay right now.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Is it a points league?
Right. I would be curious. I think in points.
In points league, I would do it.
Yeah. Category is.
Categories. I don't
wait.
I don't think I would. I don't like Klay in categories, and Ben Simmons is like fine in categories, but like, it is 9-cat.
Actually, I like having the two players that I'm fine playing. I don't know how I mean, in a 9-cat, like, I mean, Trent, it depends on your team makeup, right? Because Trent's pretty specific as to what he gives you. Trent. Like, he's just not going to give you boards. He's really not going to give you assists. It's going to be points, threes.
He's just a better Klay right now.
That's true. Yeah, he's just a Klay plus.
Yeah,
I think if you look at your team and you would like having Ben Simmons on your roster, I would do it.
Yeah, it's all about how you feel about Ben Simmons. I like Ben Simmons. I like his upside. We saw a pretty solid game coming up with him. Which this is okay. I'm not gonna rant. I almost ranted. I'm not gonna rant. Anyway, if you feel good about Ben Simmons and you trust that upside, then you could give it the gamble. It's a big game, right? Klay and Ben Simmons, big gamble for a guy that's going to give you 40 minutes every game, right? It's like such opposite players. Definitely high upside, but big gamble. I'm gonna bait him with Huerter. If you don't buy him, okay.
What was
try to sell high on Huerter. Huerter had 2 really good games.
Is anyone in the chat on like fantasy NBA or just NBA meme Twitter? Because there was a nickname for Kevin Huerter that made me laugh.
Really Velvet.
No, it was like they said like the red Velvet's a funny nickname, but I saw somebody on NBA Reddit call him.
I think you
Ron Threesley.
That's funny.
That's so good. Oh, I thought it was so funny.
Ron Threesley.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, sorry. We'll get back to the chat here. Should I trade for De'Aaron Fox for LaMelo? Good news on De'Aaron Fox, I will say. I want to pull up a report, but it looks like it was not significant damage, so that should not be long term. And I expect LaMelo to be back somewhat soon.
I was going to say I would definitely try to trade for LaMelo, but you might have missed your window. I think the people that are sitting on him are like, at this point, they're like, I'm not going to give him now. I just waited the first 2 weeks of basketball, right?
Yeah.
You might have missed your window there for LaMelo. De'Aaron Fox, if you think you can buy lower on him with the injury.
So good, man.
I would say
talk about good. I saw somebody in the chat ask if Shai was a sell high or should we be holding. And man, dude, I don't know. I don't want to sell Shai. I know. We'll flip over to the OKC side right now. So obviously, when we talk about selling players and buying players, it's all about like the value, right? So I mean, if I'm able to get like a first or second round guy for Shai right now, yeah, I'll do that. But I don't know, man. He's just good. He's so good.
Yeah, he's definitely just good. I don't think the scoring's at a pretty high rate.
Yeah, like he won't be able to keep this up, but it's like
I don't know though, dude. Like he is kind of just a scorer. So like would you be like, he's usually around like what, 24, 25
right. I've got him pulled up as 34, 6 and 4 with 5 defensive stats. So that's kind of what I was looking at when I talked about not being able to keep it up. But
Okay, I was gonna say, would you be surprised if he just had a season where he was like 28, you know, 4,
not
7,
not
and
with this
then
OKC team, man. They're so young, and even the guys who got the start, you know, you got Williams who got the start tonight. He had some bad turnovers. You know, didn't show much. I mean, they're just so young. For first Giddey game back too from the injury, but like Dort's not going to be a super high volume guy. I mean, this shot 16 in this game. I mean, Shai's just going to be able to do Shai stuff, man. And
even with Giddey back, which helps like to see Giddey back and him still dominate that much
like
offensively.
I'd still rather have the like first round and early second round guards over him, but he's
like a
right there.
One?
No, I'm saying like I'd probably still rather have Harden,
so, yeah,
Luka, Ja, but I don't know. Would you rather have Shai or Halliburton? Is it still Hallie? Right, and I think that's just that being a conversation. I think is like where Shai's at. So I'm talking about him as a sell high. I don't think he's a sell high.
I think the other thing that you have to remember too is like when you're talking about, you know, can you get a first round player value for him? It's like, yeah, that'd be nice, but at the same time, keeping him, you're still showing that you have value if you got him in the third round or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like if you have a third round value that is like a first to late first, early second value with, you know, hopefully you've got a first round guy that's good too, because I think there weren't really many busts in the first round this year so far. So I mean, you're sitting on Shai. Plus
he's performing like a first rounder. So like you're saying, I think that's a super good point. In fantasy, we tend to do this thing where we look at where we drafted a player and we go, can I turn him into a player who was drafted a round before? And in our brain, we go, I got the round before, but like it's not like that. You know, Shai was dealing with some injury concerns heading into the season, right? There was a question if he was going to be ready for the start of the season. We talked about Shai as he's a guy we didn't want to draft where he was going because, you know, I mean, I don't like drafting guys who are coming off of injuries for teams that are willing to, you know, let players sit. But man, I mean, if he was fully healthy, I didn't get Shai a lot, and I'm feeling pretty sad about it because
I keep Shai right now.
I'm an injury avoider, but yeah, I know there's a long combo about how much we love Shai. I'm a fantasy con man. LOL, I had 34 trades last year. I love it, dude. Trades make the game more fun. I mean, the NBA changes. Mm-hmm. Actually, I won't say the NBA changes daily, but people's opinion on players in the NBA changes daily. So, and that's, you can definitely capitalize, take advantage of that. Anybody have Brook Lopez on their roster right now? See what you can get for him. I want you to Google Brook Lopez stats right now and just tell me that he's going to be able to keep up the fantasy production he's doing right now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What do we think of Anthony Edwards? Yeah, I mean, dude, the breakout's kind of happening. We talked about Ant being this, you know, the scoring breakout we thought was pretty realistic, right? You know, we talked about Rudy being there and we could see Cat. I said I wouldn't be surprised if Ant outscores Cat this season. I think that's, I mean, certainly possible the way it's looking right now. And I think he's adding some peripherals. Like, I don't think it's been crazy, but he's had some pretty strong games. And that was the big thing with Ant, right? It was, you know, in a points and even a category league too. It's like, okay, yeah, he can give me 23 points, but if it's 3 boards and 2 assists, like, ugh, you know, it's just not like a super high floor. The scoring needs to be there. But he's kind of been doing both. And he looks really good, man. And I think he's going to stay off the Popeyes or something. I don't know. I haven't really been following those reports, but.
No, yeah, I wasn't worried about the scoring. Like, yes, like we were hoping for like a breakout. But it's like if you can show me that you can rebound the ball more, get involved facilitating wise, like, and keep your points in the low to mid 20s, like that's all I ask for. I'd much rather have an Ant season of, you know, 23, 6, and 5 than having 26, 3, and 2. You know, which obviously like anybody would. So going into this season, right, we were both like, man, he could pop off, he could score a lot, which is exciting, but at the same time, he's still limited because of his peripherals, and now seeing that pop off, that's why I'm really excited. Right, he's had a lot of 30-point games, but like the scoring's going to be inconsistent. Just it is for anybody. But
and I mean, it's high volume even in the bad scoring games, right? And that's kind of the thing you want with where you would have taken Anthony Edwards in a draft. So love that. Real quick, I just had the thought. We do this at the end of the stream. Appreciate you guys being here. If you guys could go and hit the like button, really helps out with the algorithm. We do this at the end. I know we always forget, and then we're like, we didn't sell out early enough. And while we're already selling out, if you guys are on an underdog, NBA player props, Use code CAN. You want to do the spiel? You've been practicing the spiel. Why don't you go for it? Link in the description. You got to mention
Do
that
you
too.
like free money? It's like a 1-800 commercial.
We're about to get
No, I mean,
arrested if you say something like that.
100% deposit match up to $100, $10 minimum. Player props, NBA, nightly. If you like doing player prop bets and you haven't used Underdog already, sign up, get some free $100. Get that bankroll building, right? NBA is in full swing, obviously. So just take advantage night by night. Sprinkle some props here and there. $5 on this 5 pick. $10 on this 2 pick, and guess what? You get a free $100 to play with, build up that balance, withdraw, tell the wife, say, honey, we're going out to dinner tonight because I hit big. And guess what? If you miss, doesn't matter because it's free $100. It's all upside, baby. Go get Underdog, use code Canyon, and have yourself a day.
Link in the description. We'll
link in the description.
We'll rehearse tomorrow. We'll get you ready for that next one. All right, how sustainable do you think AD is going to be for the season with his back injuries? Someone offered me Cat for AD, but I wasn't sure about it. Thoughts? Yeah, I think AD, and I'll let you answer the AD versus Cat question, but I want to talk about AD just for a second, just to set him up. If you watch these Lakers games, man, every game, AD is grabbing his back at some point. It happens every single game, and I'm terrified. Like I have AD in one league, and every time that happens, I just think, okay, there it is. Like I held out for too long. Like I would really like to move him if I could get a strong player. So I don't want to like assume, but I know we're more down on Cat than most people. Would you do that move?
I like AD so much better than Cat.
I know, but it's so scary.
It's not even close. But yeah, if you listen, it's like I like him so much more that I would almost rather have AD playing 50 games than Cat playing 7. And it's actually close, which is crazy.
Really?
But yeah, I mean, just I don't know, man. I'm a gambler, dude. I would love to just grab AD. He's way better right now.
Yeah, the defensive stats have been pretty crazy. Like the thing is, we talk about like will he be able to sustain this? I mean, you just kind of look at him in his career, right? Like right now, he's what 2.5 steals and 2 blocks a game, but on his career, he's kind of been like 3.5 defensive stats, so it's not like that much more than what he does.
Yeah, defensive player of the year. I mean,
yeah. This is a risk aversion. This is a risk aversion question. This has nothing to do with like their individual fantasy values because I think AD clears, and I think he has more upside too because Cat's been fine. Like Cat hasn't been like awful, right? I think the way we're talking about him, you would think Cat's averaging like 18. But he's like 21, 8. Ooh, that was weird. He's like 21, 8, and 5, right? The defensive stats haven't really been there, at least to start the season. But I just think there's less upside when Rudy Gobert's there and the emergence of Anthony Edwards too. Right. So it is a tough question.
I think if your team is very bad, then just go Cat and get something good going. But if your team is like solid and you're competitive, I would just go AD and win you some weeks.
Yeah, for sure. AD is him when he's on the court 100%. Yeah, that's like so tough. And that's like the worst part about fantasy basketball, honestly, is these like injury risk players because, I mean, it sucks to say it, but you're just kind of screwed, right? If a guy you drafted in the first 4 rounds or like you valued him there, if he's out for, 20, 30 games, you're just kind of screwed, right? Everyone else gets to play their guys for whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we have another comment here about Paul George. Would you sell Paul George for injury risk issues? If you have him, I wouldn't mind selling him because I like Paul George, and he's had a huge game, absolutely massive game against the Rockets. Mm-hmm. I think he'll be fine, honestly. I mean, look at this. Like,
pretty inconsistent start.
But look at how much they're babying Kawhi, knowing with him saying that he can play and he's fine, he's healthy, and how much they're babying him. For them to be letting Paul George go out there like that and just carry the team on his back for a couple games, they must think he's fine. Because it's not like they're gonna be super cautious and care about an injury person just for one person, right? If they're like that, they're going to be managing Paul George as well. And so letting Paul George go out there for 40 minutes against the Rockets makes me think that he's fine. So I like Paul George a lot. If you want to sell him high after that big performance, then you can. But I do still like Paul George to be good this year.
Yeah. I think like the sell high conversations are so tough, right? Because we want to like make the claims for players, but like sell high to us can mean totally different things to you guys. And it's all a matter of what your league mates are valuing these people as. So like, there are a few players that I think are like sell high, get them off your roster for what you can get. Like Brook Lopez to me is one of those guys, because I think you can find someone in your league who will give you a top 80 player for Brook Lopez, or even top 100. Like I think that person exists. Yeah, makes sense. Appreciate it. Christian, what are Porzingis? I'm pretty easily. I know it sounds weird to say feel safer about Porzingis because of the injuries, but yeah, I just think season long, I think Porzingis game in and game out has way more upside.
I agree. I think it's Porzingis.
He's been pretty good to start the season, man.
Yeah.
With Beal and Kuz, and that was a big thing for us with Porzingis. Is we were like, I wonder what this is going to look like. Are all three of these guys going to be able to, be consistent fantasy guys when they're all three playing? And he's been pretty good.
Yep.
Thoughts on Embiid so far? Yeah, I mean Embiid. It's so tough. Like these start to the seasons, right? I think people tend to look at like the first like 6 or 7 games from a player, and they try to like put that against what they've done previously. But he's been pretty close to what he's been. Yeah. Season long. It's just a couple I think like
last couple
3 fewer points than he's had, a couple fewer boards, assists. Like I don't think there's anything about his game or the Sixers in general that makes me think he's not going to be able to put up similar numbers he has the past.
Yeah, I mean when you have like 2 games with 5 boards in a sample size of 6 games, that's obviously going to be averaged down a lot, right? So I'm not worried about him just by looking at averages or anything. Like I think he'll be fine. He's played 6 out of 8. Like that's nothing to be too scared of. Like I still like it.
Yeah. I have Jokic, AD, Beal, CP3, PJ13, PG13, Bol Bol, OG Anunoby, Draymond, Lowry, Lobster, Olynyk, 12-team ESPN points league. Any changes I should make?
Maybe sell high on Turner. Don't remember his last game though. I know he had the monster game.
That was
oh yeah, you kind of missed that. He played bad against the Nets. Was it the first Nets game that he had the big game, or was it the Wizards game?
I think it was the Wizards game, wasn't it?
He was out. Yeah, I'm lower than on Miles Teller than I keep saying Miles Teller, dude. Miles Turner than most people. And so when it was the Wizards game. When he had the 27-10 game with 5 blocks, I was like, boom, get rid of him. And then what do you know? Next game he's out against the Nets, comes back in the second game against the Nets and doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
he's going to be very frustrating. So if you can wait for a couple big games from him, I would try to get rid of him.
I would do like I don't know what the phrase I want to call it. I sometimes I say temperature check. I don't think that actually makes any sense to you guys when I say it, but I would get a little bearing or reading on your league mate's value of Bol Bol off of some of these crazy defensive stat games. And I don't think when I say this, like, I don't think Bol Bol is a sell high to the point where it's like if you have Bol Bol, you have to get him off your roster. But I think when the Magic are healthier, he just naturally will play fewer minutes than he is. So I think if you can, get a read on people's values of Bol Bol, and if they're, they look at him and they're like, I mean, this guy's he's playing like 30 minutes, and like you get some of these games where he gets 4 defensive stats and a double-double, and you're like, hey, I mean, I'll pay a top 80 player for that or something. I would just do like a little check. So I look at your roster and I don't think like you need to like sell Jokic for a big package or anything, but little things like that. I used my waiver claim on Huerter. I thought it was a no-brainer. He's like, oh yeah. No, I think Huerter's one of those guys where I think he probably just should be rostered. I think he's just gonna have an equal opportunity that he did in Atlanta to kind of have these big games. And he won't be as good as he's been in some of these games, but I think he'll be pretty solid.
Yeah, someone mentioned that they were going to shop Huerter a little bit. I like that idea. He had 2 last 2 games were really good games. So yeah, I would try to sell high in him. And then Paprika says, would you guys have Vanderbilt or Jalen Smith? I'd much rather have Jalen Smith.
Yeah.
Been a little rocky in the last couple games against the Nets as well, but I still like Jalen Smith season long way more than Jared Vanderbilt.
Yeah. Hey, we've been saying this like for 5 years, but there's a chance that Turner isn't a Pacer.
Traded. Yeah.
I mean, we say that a lot, but hey, he's like a
Laker.
He's advocating for himself, isn't he? I mean, not really. I think the full context of the podcast was more like talking about the Lakers in general, but I mean, yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
And that would just be beautiful. And yeah, he's looked pretty decent. I know he's had some pretty inconsistent games, but we like Jalen Smith a lot this year.
Yeah.
And I think Vanderbilt's been pretty efficient. And I think efficiency is one of those things that you tend to want to avoid in fantasy basketball because most players will regress. And not most players, every player regresses to the mean of what NBA players have done just every single year. So if you see guys like Drew Holiday, I think is a perfect example, right? We talked about the start with no Middleton, and he was like 3 for 21 in some of these games. Just awful shooting, 1 for 8 from 3. And he has this big 40-point blow-up game at, double-double, and it's like, oh, it came out of nowhere. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, a big blow-up game, but like he just was shooting so bad. He was gonna come back to shooting like decently for an NBA player. Drew Holiday or VanVleet, I'd go Drew. I like VanVleet. I think Drew is just going to be more consistent season long. I think VanVleet's going to have a nice assist floor. But you saw, what was the Sixers game? 0 for 11, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, 0 for 11. Like,
more, but yeah.
His inconsistencies won't be that bad. But like if you watched VanVleet or just know VanVleet over the past couple seasons, it's a classic VanVleet. Classic. 1 for 8 from 3, and then the next game he's like 5 for 6 or something. So
yeah, I remember having him. I think it was 2 years ago. In 1 week, he was just like 1 for 11 from 3, and the next night he was like 9 for 10. It's just like, okay, I guess like when all is said and done, it averages out to being a normal week for fantasy. But like, he's just so inconsistent. Drew Holiday's usually the exact opposite. He's usually like the Rock, Mr. Consistent, and the usage is just going to be there consistently for him too. Right. So they're pretty comparable, I guess. I think Drew probably gives you more boards.
I think Drew just has a higher floor even with Middleton back.
Yeah, I think so too. I definitely like VanVleet. Trying to move VanVleet for a week. Barnes and Siakam are too good. It is frustrating being a VanVleet owner with seeing Siakam have 13 assists, right?
Dude, Siakam's been so nuts to start the year too. He's been crazy. Isaiah Jackson will take over for Turner. Yeah, I think like when we talk about, it's not like a minutes perspective or anything. I think Jalen Smith will play similarly. I think it's more of just like opportunity and usage. And yeah, there was it was a weird start with Isaiah Jackson. Some of these games that Turner was out and he wasn't starting, but I still think it would be Isaiah Jackson. But what do you guys think are good trade targets for Shai in an ESPN default points league? So you're talking about trade targets. You have Shai to get other players? Is that what you're talking about?
I mean, either way, yeah. What's probably a good comp
barometer? I mean, I value Shai a lot higher, or not a lot higher, but at least like a round higher than he was going in drafts.
Yeah, he might be,
if not a round and a half.
I think he might be top 5 in points leagues right now, depending on scoring. But I think he's number 1 in some scoring leagues for points, because his defense has been on fire with 30-point games. Yeah, he's just been incredible. So I mean, at this value, you could probably like we were saying earlier, get maybe like a late first round guy. Yeah. I would probably rather hold Shai at this rate over Haliburton.
Right. I mean, maybe like a Shai, like if you could do some kind of like 2 for 2 where you package a player to get like Ja. Like, you might be able to do that. Like, I know Ja's had a pretty crazy start to the season, but Shai has been very close. So I think you could maybe do a 2 for 2 on kind of a sell high guy with Shai to get Ja. I would love that. And I do like Shai still. It's not even like this is your sneaky way to get out of Shai. Like, I love Shai. I'm just saying that I think, 1, his value's there, actually is, and 2, people's perception of his value is also there too. How do you think Jaren Jackson Jr. will perform after coming off injury? Yeah, it's those like big significant ones are tough. I know a lot of people are stashing him, in cat leagues. I mean, in points leagues too, if you're able to hold him on that IL spot. It's tough. I think like predicting players coming off significant injuries it's really difficult, especially with how a lot of their bench unit and secondary unit has played. But yeah, I don't know if I can give you like a really good answer off of that. It's just it's tough to know.
Yeah, I think, I mean, trying to break it down more, I guess I think's coming back, it's a foot injury, right? So it's not something that maybe would have messed with his shot or his shooting form or stuff like that. So as far as a basketball move is considered, if it's a healed foot, it's a healed foot, and if he can play, he can play, and
Yeah.
he should be back to somewhat normal, right? Whereas if it was like a wrist thing, like Chris Middleton, I'd be a little bit more worried of like, okay, how does this affect,
Yeah.
his stroke and moving forward, because that's going to be
Right.
a nagging thing every single game. Whereas a foot, I feel like a foot is more of like an all or nothing thing, where it's like you either can play on it and fine or not. It
Yeah, and
shouldn't.
there's definitely too naturally just like a lot of injuries that are more like we've just seen it more consistently with it nagging players from a, they've got some tightness in the knee or something, But yeah, I'm not the best like injury expert analyst guy, so I feel like
Right.
the longer I talk about it, the more I expose myself. So I'm gonna move on to
Yeah, I
the
know,
next
right?
question.
Uh, I saw
Uh,
what was SGA for LeBron. I think you could probably do that. I think someone with
yeah,
LeBron would rather have SGA right now. I think I would possibly rather have SGA for the year than LeBron. I
yeah,
think
we're
law of
there.
averages though, Shay's going to come down, right?
Shay's a first round pick for you in a points league if we're drafting right now, or is he early second?
Probably early second. Because I think season long, right? If I am thinking, okay, at the end of the season, did I
Yeah,
make a good deal? At the end of the season, Shay is not going to be averaging over 30 points. He's going to be closer to, a
yeah,
really good season is going to be like 27, 28,
27. Yeah,
right? And then having the defensive stats, it'd be probably a historic year if he kept up his defensive pace as well.
right.
So like you said, like regressing to the mean, coming back down, there's going to be stints where he's just going to be back to kind of normal Shea, which is still really good. But like, can you get someone where if you think about the end of the year, what are their averages supposed to be or could be?
Yeah.
Shea is most likely to come down. So it's like, can you get a guy that at the end of the year is going to average something higher than Shea is, but right now Shea is outperforming, right? That's kind of how it
Yeah, I think I would probably do any first rounder that like no doubt, no brainer was a first rounder when we were going into
yeah, like
draft
a
season.
Tatum. I would definitely do like a
Right.
Tatum,
Yeah.
KD, guys like that. If you can,
For sure. Yeah. And
you
that's
can get
what.
someone that can buy into Shea
Yeah.
long term.
And then I think Ja was kind of like my barometer of like Ja was kind of like a end of the first points league guy. I'd rather have Shea than Cat. I'll tell you that much right now. No, Cat was first round
Oh yeah,
guy. So like,
oh yeah.
I don't want you guys to take that word to heart and go look at your first round and trade Shea for somebody that went there. But
Yeah.
my brain of what the first round looked like, or at least for what I would do.
Should have looked like, yeah, because we were lower on Cat.
Right. And I'm in a 9 cat keeper league, and I think I'd trade Trae for Shea. I really like Shea long term. Dude, that's so dude, the keeper leagues are so tough if it's a forever keep. I love Shea, but I don't know, man. I part of me is just like the percentage chance that either of these players I don't know. I I just think Trey's just always going to be a 27 and 9 guy, Like it's just I think I don't know if I would do that.
Oh, trade Shea for
He's trading Trey for
Shea.
Shea.
Trade for Shea.
I like Shea. I like Shea,
Um,
but I wouldn't do that. I do think it's close though. I like Shea a lot.
Points league. Oh, it's 9 cat. Okay, I'd go trade a 9 cat.
Yeah. And two, like you have to remember, like OKC is not always gonna look like the way they look, right? I think it's more likely that Shea gets guys like Chat, who's going to be coming off an injury next season, guys who take offensive usage away from him, than Trae will, right?
Yeah.
And I know Trae hasn't had the best surrounding cast for his career, but I just think it's more likely, like what Shea's doing right now, and I think he has the talent to be able to do it. But Shea kind of, if you watch these games, it's just like Shea, go make something happen, right? Like if you can get the ball to Dort and he can shoot a three, cool. Giddy will have these possessions and everything, but for the most part, it's just like, yo, Shea, go make it happen. That's what's happening this season. So I think like from a long-term perspective, I'd rather have Trae because I feel safer in that. I haven't traded Trae. I'm just saying I probably. Oh, I get what you're saying. Okay, way too streaky. Yeah, I get that.
I mean,
it's just
he's been pretty good this year. He's shooting over 20 times a game. He had one bad game against the Reds.
he's just
Good
so
defensive
good.
team. Yeah, he had 10 turnover. Like that's not going to happen. Maybe ever
Yeah.
again. You're having 10 turnovers, but he had 10 assists. Like something's going to be there. The assists or the points are going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, specifically 9 cat. Like you're crushing threes in that trade. You're crushing assists in that trade. Long term, you're gonna win points in that trade. Defensively, you lose. Turnovers, you lose. Free throw percentage, you win in that trade. It's actually pretty close for but
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
like 9K. I like Trae. Points, I
I
like Shai with.
right. I don't think it's like you're an idiot for even considering it. I think it's just like
No,
I
no.
would prefer Trae.
Yeah.
39% from the field. Yeah, I think like in category leagues, obviously it depends on like what you're willing to sacrifice for like some of these like high usage guys. So like I probably lean towards like the threes, the points, the assists, the free throws, right? A high free throw percentage, high free throw attempt guy.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. Like, right, if your team is, going is competitive in boards and defense, then yeah, I would get Shai because Shai's gonna give you defense, he's gonna give you more boards, and the field goal percentage should probably go along with um people like boards, right? So Shai's gonna have a better field goal percentage over the year. He just is because he shoots closer, higher percentage shots.
yeah,
More often
he
than
doesn't shoot a
does.
lot of threes, obviously. That's just
So
natural.
yeah, I get like 39% from the field. That is tough. It
Right, and
should
that's
come
just
down
like a
to about
high
90,
3 point
but
volume guy, right? Trey's never going to
exactly.
have a good field goal percentage.
That's the caveat for getting a guy that's going to shoot 15 threes. Like it's just
Yeah. And that's kind of like I think the way that we can move on from this because we're spending a lot of time here. But that's kind of the way I perceive players is like when you take a Trae in like the first round of your like cat draft, you're kind of building your team around that moving forward, right? So you're not worried about field goal percentage because, hey, you're going to attack threes, right? You're going to have threes scoring. You're going to take some of these guards that are higher 3 assist guys, but help some more categories. Yeah, no, I think, and that's why I said it's like a pretty fair conversation, especially the way Shai's playing right now.
yeah.
I just think the argument would then be, 3-4 years from now, what does OKC look like? And for me, I think there's a realistic possibility that like, yes, Shai's probably still the best player on the team if he's still there, but you got Chat, you've got, the all these young guys, right? With all the capital OKC has and had. So that's kind of my only argument for sure. That would be kind of a long-term thing. Was surprised to not see Giddey in the last minutes of the game. Yeah, he also didn't start the second half. First game back from the ankle injury. I didn't even think he was going to play. We were doing the stream today, sports betting, and he was listed as out. And I know that was a speculative thing, but yeah, I didn't think he would play. It was nice to see him back. So 25 minutes, obviously, in this game that was tight at the end. We saw some Trey Man and some Poku there. So yeah, keep Paolo or replace with KPJ. I like KPJ a lot, man.
I do like KPJ a lot.
Yeah, I know we've got. I will say this game today. This was, Ben Caro had a 15-8 game. We saw Wendell pop off. If you guys watched this game, Dort was kind of giving Ben Caro the business a little bit. And Ben Caro missed a couple of easy lays too.
That's a good one though. It's a good little comp.
Is any part of you just want to take the not rookie, or are you feel strongly about Ben Caro?
No, I don't. I'm not too worried about him being a rookie. I just think, I think I'd rather Carroll.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's a tough one.
Is it points or cat? Bol looks so, dude. I love Bol Bol, man. He's so fun too. Like he's just like the people's champ. Like I feel like nobody watches Bol Bol do something cool and is like, dude, Bol Bol cashed a 3. Yeah. I was the happiest I've been in like a long time.
With Boban not playing anymore, someone had to step up.
Right, yeah. Dude, that Euro step too. Dude, I don't know. Have you guys been watching? Bol Bol's got some moves, man. I don't know who's been working with him. But he's been doing some Euros. And dude, just the lanky tree Euro stepping down the lane is scary though, man.
Scary. One Euro step on someone else's foot and he could be
okay, yeah. Don't say that. Yo, what's up, Dynasty Football Flock? Let's go. How we doing? What up? Think Sexton is worth a hold if he's your worst player. Points. We've kind of seen a little bit. I don't want to call it I don't want to call it I'm not going to use the words breakout or emergence because one game was without Conley. Drop that like. Yes. Appreciate it. Yeah. Sexton, we talked about him being kind of a poison. The thing with a player being the worst player on your roster is you usually want to have players you're able to drop to pick up other guys to fill in game slots, on kind of a weekly basis for fantasy purposes. So if I get questions about players who I'm iffy on and they're the worst player, I usually say it's not worth the hold because I'd rather be able to stream. Obviously, it depends on what the waivers look like, but I feel like they can't
Yeah,
remember how good Bol Bol is at this point. Yeah, it's tough because the injuries, right? It's been, I mean, they're missing Cole Anthony. Obviously, Fultz has been out. Suggs missed some games. Bol has been starting some of these games. So I don't think, even when they're healthy, I don't think Bol like falls off a cliff and is back to like 15, 18 minutes that we've kind of seen from him in his career. But I don't think he's a 30-minute guy, but I think he'll be a strong like 24, 25, 26-minute guy. So I still think he'll have fantasy value.
Yeah, they have so many injuries right now, and it's
Right.
like they're pretty staggered too, right? We had early season injuries. Now we've got a couple more.
Terrence Ross got hurt in this game too, so
yeah,
that's another guy that plays decent minutes for them.
Yeah, people are going to be out, and like you said earlier, we've seen them get comfortable with this big lineup, right? With all these bigs out there, so it's not like just because guards are down doesn't affect him. It kind of does because they're okay playing 4 tall forwards,
right?
4 guys 7 foot or taller, right? So
yeah, that's why Carter feasted in this game, and it was kind of fun to see. They were really. They weren't able to do it with Banchero as much because Dort was on him a significant portion of the game. But Carter was just like, they were finding these matchups where Carter was just, in the paint, was able to back down somebody just significantly smaller than him and get these easy buckets. And he just, I mean, 8 for 8 from the free throw line. He got to the line a ton, shot a ton, 30 and 12. Love to see that, especially in my 9Cat league where I have Wendell Carter. Love to see that. You guys think Poeltl is a sell high? I already have Nurkic and Val, so I don't know if I should trust Poeltl also.
He could get traded. He's on the trading block right now.
Yeah.
But I do like Poeltl. I don't know if he's a sell high. I don't know if he's playing well enough to be a sell high right now.
Yeah, like we kind of like Poeltl this season. I mean, you just kind of look at these Spurs team. Magic flees the Bulls. Dude, looking at some of these trades, I mean, the NFL trade line was today, so I was thinking about trades in general. I was thinking about I don't want to get to an NFL, but Franz for Vooch. Dude, Franz has been pretty nice. Would you take OG or Trae Jones for a points league?
Preseason we would have said Trae Jones, but right now
I don't know how much I can defend Trae, and it's not even like a massive Trae thing because he's been okay, but it's just the offensive usage has just been not with Trae as much.
Yeah, I think it's definitely OG, just defensively. OG, yeah. I mean, he's not going to be 6 steals a game, but he will be like 3 defensive stats a game almost. Like he's just that good of a defender. And in a points league, that's so huge. And we saw him pop off scoring wise last season. He probably won't get back to like 17, 18 points a game. I think he near last season. Mm-hmm. But he'll give you good points, rebounds, and then the defensive usage is just insane. So it's definitely OG.
Yeah. Jalen Williams, 12-team 9-cat. I think with the Terrence Ross injury, I think like that firmly makes it Suggs. And I think it probably still would be Suggs even without that. I like Jalen Williams. I like him long term, but right now I know he got the start tonight, but I think I would need to see a couple more games of something. You can't go off of these rookies who play a few games and look okay and kind of base that off a season log. And I know Suggs hasn't been the best, but I mean he's gonna consistently play starter minutes, especially with the injuries that the Magic have right now. And didn't have a good game tonight. 1 for 9 from 3. Shot some questionable threes at the end of this game. I don't know if you guys are watching the Magic threw this game. The Thunder went on like a 14-2 run or something. Suggs shot an awful 3. I don't want to get too into it, but still. He's going to have the usage, especially with the injuries. I know I'm not selling him super.
Yeah, what are you doing here? No, I think it's not even close, honestly. I think it's definitely Suggs board.
Oh, Raptors. Oh, he's your favorite player? Dude, I thought you would have been like, I thought a Raptors fan. Give me your, list your favorite Raptors players current right now. I'd actually be curious to hear because I'm surprised that OG is the favorite. I like him. I just feel like from a production standpoint, Raptors fans to go elsewhere, and then from a fan favorite, I don't know. I feel like Scotty. Is Scotty not a fan favorite? How can you not like Scotty, man?
OG's just the dog, man.
I know,
just
that's
true. That does all the dirty work. I guess they all kind of are.
Right, that's just the Raptors roster. It's just the dirty work.
I love that roster. It's such a good team.
Yeah. That's like the best roster too, to have guys all the starters play like 40 minutes a game.
Yeah, it's the Pistons in 2 years.
Okay. All right, let's I'm rushing. Okay, so everyone fleece the Magic. Yeah, jeez. How likely is it for Huerter's production to continue? I mean, not what he's doing right now. You're talking about Ron Threasley, but still,
No Fox.
yeah, I mean, right. I mean, Fox will miss some of these games. He should be back soon, though. I think the injury did not sound like it was super serious. I saw a report today. But yeah, like these, like 27, 26. I mean, 5 for 10. He had a 7 for 8 from 3. Like, just like these guys that are like Huerter that are I mean, I'm sorry. If you just look at these 6-game sample sizes, all you need to do is look at these players who shoot their points significantly come from threes. And if their percentage is 5 to 10% better than they've shot their entire career, the answer is no. Right. So yeah, he's shooting what, 53% from 3 or something? Is that what it is?
Oh, wait, I was thinking even the last 2 games they where he popped off. It's
yeah. No, yeah, he's 53.2% from 3 with a 1 for 8 game. Like he's crazy. It's insane. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, and it goes both ways, right? So Drew Holiday, I used that example earlier. If you're like, should I sell Drew? Like he's being really bad, and Middleton's gonna come back. Like take a look. Did Drew shoot 20% from the field this game? And on his career, like that's, I mean, on any NBA player's career, that's awful. So don't overreact to players who shoot way worse, and don't overreact to players, especially from 3. Because 3, no player's going to shoot.
What's volatile percentage?
Yeah, right, exactly. Bol Bol long-term hold. I mean, I think he has long-term value. I will say that. So long-term hold, I think it's kind of like, if you could sell him, I think we're around where peak Bol Bol will be what he's produced. So I would see what you can get for him, but I don't think he's a sell, get him off your roster. He's going to fall off the face of the earth when the Magic get healthy.
Yeah, I think that's a great way. It was very concise. Good job.
Were you not expecting that?
I don't know.
Let's go. I'm going to go over to one of these other box scores just because we've been kind of staring at this one for a while, but we can keep answering questions because I think these are the ways I like to do these streams, especially in these small slates, right? Like we don't need to tell you that Kyrie had an awful game.
I got a drop Dinwiddie for Hart or Trae Jones or hold. Ooh. Dinwiddie for Trae Jones is interesting long term. I think Dinwiddie's fine. I wouldn't like freak out if anybody else has Dinwiddie and doesn't have those options like Trae Jones or Josh Hart to grab.
Yeah.
Trae Jones is an interesting one long term though. I still really believe in Trae Jones. I think he can give you similar scoring. Obviously not like the ceiling that Dinwiddie.
Right.
His assists and defense
is a lower floor.
His assists and defense is just going to be should be much better than Dinwiddie's.
Yeah.
I'd probably. I don't know. What do you think? I'd probably go Trae Jones.
Yeah, I would too. I think he just has more upside, just like naturally.
Yeah, I mean he's shooting so poorly. Like if he shoots normally, right?
Yeah.
In the last 4 games, if he shoots the league average, where all of a sudden we're like, holy cow!
And I know we've missed some, like, you know, Vassell's been hurt for some of these games, but still I think, and I don't know, maybe I'm just holding out hope, but I think like season long, he's one of those guys that like can get you anywhere from 8 to 12 points consistently, and then he should get you like pretty strong assist numbers. No, I just think as a floor, like the bottom of what you expect from him. Yeah.
Sure.
Any buy low suggestion, guys? The tough thing with these buy lows, so the NBA changes so quickly, right? We made our buy low video, and like the next day they had like breakout performances, so you could no longer buy those guys low. Tyrese Maxey had that 40 bomb. He was perfect from the field through the first half. But
yeah, I mean, right now, I'm trying to think of people that had.
I think a general. I know it's so tough, right? Because we have to kind of cycle through the most recent game these players had, and you know what they've done before that. I think in general, like anytime you can buy a top 4 round player for the most part, all right. So it isn't like a fast hold rule, but a guy like Kyrie, right, who's coming off just like an awful game, like guys like that who are coming off just terrible games, low volume. had weird minutes in the first half, like you always just like try to upgrade at that point.
Yeah, maybe like
Yeah, I like Simmons. I think Simmons is one of our buy low guys who I think the value just, especially off of, missing 2 games for sure. Is Kawhi a buy low? I'm happy you brought it up. We talked about it. Kawhi was a buy low for us initially. I think that somebody talked about selling Kawhi. What was the package they got? It was Kawhi and Conley for Brunson. And do you remember what the package was? I can scroll up.
It was Kawhi and Conley for Brunson and KPJ?
I don't think it was KPJ. Vassell. Yeah, Vassell and Brunson for Conley and Leonard. Like I would do that. I would sell Kawhi for that package. And I know that like beginning of the season that would look kind of stupid with where Kawhi went, but I think Kawhi's a buy low for like, I hate saying this, but he's kind of like a buy low for like pennies. Like I don't want to give up like a player who's, a mid-round guy who's performing really well in a package for Kawhi, which is kind of what that guy did, right? Brunson and Vassell, 2 guys who are performing really well. We're kind of like later round guys. Like that's a guy who is like, I can get Kawhi. He was drafted earlier than these guys, right? Like you don't want to do that. That's not where you want to buy Kawhi.
Yeah, the tough thing is to buy Kawhi low. You'd have to buy him. Like, you can't wait for him to be out more and then buy him low, because the thing about these injury guys, we talked about this with LaMelo a little bit, the closer you get to their return date, harder it is to buy them, obviously. But because like the guys that have been, this is kind of like a peak time, I feel like, where people that are holding them, they're like, okay, he might still be out for a little bit. I'll ship him. Whereas in a week or two, it could be like, okay, I've held him for so long, I can't get rid of him now, type of deal. So I think this is that kind of sweet spot to maybe buy Kawhi, but you are gonna have to hold them and sit him as well.
Should I use my first priority waiver spot on Kawhi? He was dropped on my league as a 1 IR spot and can't stash him. Is it worth it? Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't think Kawhi should be on waivers.
No,
but I mean, it'd have to be an extremely shallow league with like extremely shallow benches. But I don't think he should be on waivers. I know he's frustrating, and I know it's tough, right? In NBA, like fantasy wise, it's like every roster spot is pretty important. But man, I just don't know. Like we were like, compare Kawhi to Sexton. We didn't want to drop Sexton for the first week, but we want to drop Kawhi. Like I don't know, man.
I know. Sexton two solid games too. Highest 2 games with minutes in the season. Do we get excited about it yet? Probably not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Had a 31-minute game and a 24-minute game.
Yeah, I like the minutes. Beasley did still play somewhat significant minutes in one of those games. I know one of those games was without Conley, right? So we got the start in that one. But, Conley's going to rest some back-to-backs, right? I mean, that's just something they're going to do. So, what kind of big man can I get for D'Lo or Poole? 9 cat. Only big man is Brook Lopez. 12-team.
Yeah, I wouldn't give up those 2 for Brook.
No, he's saying his only big man is Brook
Lopez.
That's
your only big man.
Yeah.
I would honestly, Poole just came off that bad kind of night tonight against the Heat. They play the Magic next. It's a good matchup. I'd probably for that matchup because he should have a game. Probably solve better. But no, you're probably looking at like
it's
hurdle's probably too steep.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but
yeah, you might be able to off of some of these like a bad pro performance.
4-point game last game.
And a cat league too, right? I think Pirtle's one of those guys that like some people might be willing to move off of like how badly he impacts your team, right? Because from a free throw perspective and
you could try Pirtle. You could try like Jared Allen, maybe.
Would you rather trade away KPJ or VanVleet? I really like KPJ.
I like those guys. I do like KPJ a lot. His stock has risen a lot already. I'd rather. That's tough, man.
Yeah, I think it's close.
Because KPJ can be a little streaky as well, but I mean not like VanVleet streaky. But VanVleet's going to give you probably less turnovers and maybe more consistent defense. But KPJ can defend as well. I'd probably go KPJ. I'd probably keep KPJ honestly, because you might even be able to like get a better deal for VanVleet than a KPJ. right? If you trade
Yeah,
away
that's true.
KPJ, in the eyes of your league mates, most people might be like, I like VanVleet way more, and so you can probably get better value for VanVleet than
Yeah.
you would
You just
KPJ.
wish
And I think
Van Vliet didn't have a 0 for 11 game 2 days ago.
yeah,
I mean, you might need to wait
yeah,
a couple of games.
because I think in our eyes, or maybe most people, it should be pretty close, honestly, with those two as far as value goes. But I think to the public and to maybe your league mates, they might hold VanVleet a lot higher, and then you can get better value out of those two guys.
Yeah. Would you take LaMelo for Chris Paul and Zach LaVine 10 team points league? All right, so it is a smaller league. Usually in these smaller leagues, I tend to lean towards like the 2-for-1 and getting the best player
Yeah.
more than I would in like a 12 team or even 14 team.
Was that? I wonder if that was sent to him, because if like you're trying to ship that out, I'd see if you can dial it down a little
He
bit.
gets LaMelo
I know. I
or
just didn't
she.
know if I just didn't know if they wanted, if they could see if they could like dial it down and maybe downgrade like Chris Paul or Levine to someone just a notch lower and still try to get Lamelo for that.
Yeah.
Uh,
So you're saying
just trying to like
you wouldn't do that?
I
Levine's
I
going to
think
be pretty frustrating this year, just from a injury rest
right.
perspective. Like he is like a no question. They've said
I
it.
think I
He's
would.
gonna rest these games.
I think I
Um,
would in a 10 point points league, but I would want to try to
let me.
squeeze out every little
This
bit
is
you
getting
can.
too cute. Would you do that for John Morant?
Both those guys and I get Ja.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a
Would you
10
do
man.
it? Would you do it for Halliburton?
Uh
I was trying to get too cute with the setup, but in points leagues, when LaMelo was healthy, he was going before Ja for the most part in a lot of these leagues, or at least right next to him. And I know
yeah, I think
Ja's been insane, right? But I think I just like to put it in perspective of like where we were
right,
valuing these guys.
right. Yeah, yeah, what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it worked. Do
Cole
it.
Anthony's available in my league. Should I pick him up? I do want to say, like, for a lot of these questions that are like players who were hurt, if you're able to like stash these guys in like an IL spot, 100%, like
Yeah,
especially guys like Cole Anthony.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
I have too many forwards, any buy low guards aside from Jalen Green, 12 team at 9 cap.
Thank you for the aside from Jalen Green. I assume you mean because he's on your team, but we're Cade lovers and Jalen
That
Green
would be really
haters.
funny if he knew that we
Yeah.
joke around with Jalen Green.
He wouldn't need to say aside from Jalen Green if you knew that though.
That's true. Um,
Let me pull
I
something up.
mean, the maxi ship has sailed.
Yeah.
Um, hmm, too many forwards. I mean,
It's just a is it wait, what is it, cat? Is it 9
yeah,
cat?
yeah. I was gonna say I don't hate
Dude, some of these
all the guys that I'm thinking off the top of my head are like not big boys. I'm assuming he wants like mid-round value and higher, not these fringe
right.
guys.
And when you talk about a buy low.
Yeah. Maybe I was gonna say Garland, but he's probably gonna be back soon, so I don't think you could buy really low on him anymore.
I mean, maybe with what Donovan. I mean, I'd check on Garland's price. I like Garland rest of the
Yeah,
season, and with what Donovan Mitchell's been
check.
doing.
Yep, you could check Garland. Let's think. You
There's
could
Jamal
check.
Murray.
Yeah,
His
Jamal
value's
Murray.
his value's really low for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
he
that's
has
a
not
great
been strong
one.
to start the season. I mean, he's sandwiched between like Reggie Jackson and Emmanuel quickly.
Yeah, I like Jamal Murray is a good shout.
Yeah,
Who's the one I just said? Garland.
Killian Hayes. No, I'm just kidding.
LaMelo. Killian Hayes, get out of here. Was gonna say Drew, but he's already back to he's not by low.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like those two, Garland or
yeah.
Jamal.
I think Jamal's probably my favorite guard by low right now because his value, like, he's one of those guys whose like value is probably really low because he's had some pretty rough games start season.
Maybe. What do you think about Bradley Beal? Not like terrible right now, but he's also not the Bradley Beal that we know as far as
Yeah,
scoring goes.
I think he's
I
one
think
of
his
those. I
scoring.
think it's tough, right? Because in fantasy, like we can look at points scored, like fantasy points scored, and like kind of value guys. But like Bradley Beal, from a name value perspective, is might be a guy who's there's some guys who are just like not really buy lows no matter what they've been doing.
Just because who they are.
All right.
Yeah, I mean that's just depending on your league mates, right? So
Yeah, that's true.
If you have competent league mates and they know that Beal's scoring is a little iffy this year, maybe you could try Beal. I like what I'm seeing as far as assists goes. I think the scoring will probably go back up. So I like Beal, not a crazy buy low, but I probably
Yeah.
like Garland or Jamal
And to
Murray.
like a little shout on some of these injury guys, like we talked about Fox. LaMelo's a tough one, right? Because he's a guy who like is coming back from the injury. So like the LaMelo manager is like,
Yeah.
I've held this
De'Aaron
guy
Fox?
for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm not trading him.
Yeah, exactly.
Low.
No one should be trading LaMelo Ball at this point. Yeah.
Right.
De'Aaron Fox could be another one, depending on his injury. It shouldn't be serious, but if he's out for like a week and a half, week to two, maybe you can nab him early. But he's had a strong start, so you probably can't get him.
Yeah, appreciate you guys answering each other's questions. I know we missed some of these with all the ones that are coming through. Once again, real quick, appreciate you guys hanging out in here.
Just in general.
Been live, been live for an hour. Appreciate you guys.
For sure.
Means a lot.
I'm confused because there's 31 people watching, but there's only 9 likes. So some of you guys are slacking on the clicker.
Okay, we can't do the nice. We're not doing the good cop, bad cop with the.
Oh, we're not.
With the
Okay,
likes.
sorry.
No, it's okay. We'll
appreciate
we'll
you
work
guys.
on it. We'll have a post show meeting. We'll figure this out. I have Matherin. He has 100% drop for OG. I see that drop Matherin for OG cat. Yeah, I think in a cat league specifically too. Like Matherin, I'm just not a believer that he's going to give you a ton outside of points, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously some of the
Threes.
categories that are associated with that, right? Like threes. But yeah, I think from from a peripheral standpoint, like what Matherin does best lends itself more to like points than
Yeah.
cat.
If you could pick up OG, I like OG. I mean, he can just win you weeks defensively.
I would try to trade him though. I don't know. Like I know it's kind of tough, and obviously you're dropping to pick up. And I know, dude, NBA fantasy is tough, right? It's so hard to like trade players and move players. It's Clutch kind of appreciate. Hey, appreciate it. Appreciate that. Means a lot. Means a lot. And it would mean a lot to me if you guys use code Canyon signing up on Underdog. Links in the description.
You know what means a lot to me? You know what's clutch
money.
for us?
Getting money. We love.
You know what's clutch for us? I can replace Chris
sorry.
Paul with Jaden Ivey or Anthony Simons. I wouldn't replace Chris Paul with Jaden Ivey or Anthony Simons.
If they're on waivers, or it's probably a trade. Like Ivy's probably
I probably wouldn't do that trade. I know Simons is insanely hot. I mean, he's going to be streaky, especially with Dame out. He'll probably be much better. But just as far as like what they give you, right? It's just like Anthony is just points and threes, and then Ivy. I like Ivy more than Anthony, honestly. And
I think I do too. I think from a season-long perspective, you just look at the Blazers, right? Dame, Jeremy Grant, Nurk, Josh Hart, Anthony. Anthony will have these blow-up games, but when Dame's healthy and playing, it's going to be hard for him to do what he did in that Nuggets game and what he's like doing when Dame's out,
For sure.
Klay worth a hold. We're really low on Klay, man. I feel like we're the wrong people to ask because I think the answer is probably yes, but we're just we're Clayters.
But we can be like colliders, whatever you want to call it. But like at the end of the day, we know like we're not stupid. Like Klay is one of the greatest shooters of all time. Like I think he is worth a hold, depending on your league size. I think he's worth a hold.
Yeah, he's just gonna do what he's always done, and I think even maybe to a lesser extent, right? Where he's gonna give you these games. Yeah, he's gonna give you these games, and he's gonna give you games where he's 1 for 8 instead of whatever. I just want the other good teams might pick up Matherin. Dude, that's what's so tough in these like small. What you got to do? I assume it's like I see the 10-team league. You gotta get two more guys in there, man. Get those good 12-team leagues so that these waiver wires are Klay and 10-team. Yeah. Do I have Healed and Matherin? Worried about a Healed trade would make his production drop. Yeah, I think obviously. Healed moving from like a usage standpoint would be really, really nice for Matherin. He's still kind of playing starter minutes, but here's the thing I will say. I know Buddy Hield and Miles Turner have been pretty hot names in trade speculation and everything, but I'm going to say this, and hey, you guys might be able to clip this, and next week it's like all over Twitter and you're blasting me because they got traded, but we do this a lot where we stake value in trades that just never happen, right?
Yeah.
And that just happens in NBA fantasy a lot. And I get it, right? Because the Lakers kind of feel like they're in like desperation mode. LeBron, AD, they got to make a move. They're going to trade for these guys. But I don't know. I feel like if it hasn't happened already, like you're telling me that they didn't go into the season knowing that this was going to be their problem?
Yeah, or you're telling me that they started 0 for 5 or 0 for 6 or whatever it was, and they haven't called any GMs. Like, yeah, it's early, but
yeah, and I get, because those are
on the
guys that have been
radar.
on the trade block and kind of been
Yeah.
in trade rumors and on the trade radar for sure. But I don't think it's a 50-50 shot that the trade happens, is all I'm going to say. And I think that's the way people are perceiving like the value of these players, because they're like, oh man, is Mathurin a good buy low because the trade's going to happen? Like, whoa, time out. Like, most of the time the trades just don't happen. Always talking about the Lakers. Y'all think Russ will keep the good production off the bench? I do like it. I think from a fantasy perspective, that's where I think from a team perspective, it makes a lot of sense, right? I don't want Russ playing with, I mean, this is kind of a, you guys all know, we've had beef with, I think the whole world has had beef with the Lakers team setup, but just like, man, it's just not a good fit. And it's no hate against Russ. I know Russ gets kind of absolutely destroyed just on the socials and everything, but I just think Russ is one of those guys who like thrives best in those situations, right? I mean, you think about where he's played elsewhere, and what he's kind of been able to do, and just like
he's had 2 bad games, like 19-11-3, 18-8-3, a steal and a block, 18-8-8. Those 3 games, like those are good games for like 2. I think 2 of those he came off the bench for. But then like we just want to look at the game against the Trailblazers where, you know, like last possession he goes up, you know, shoots a mid-range, misses, and everybody's frustrated and they're like, oh, that's Russ in a nutshell for the season. But then it's like no one wants to talk about him having 18-8-8 off the bench.
Imagine that player's name is not Russell Westbrook and it's just random player for the Spurs this season or something. And those were like the stat lines you were looking at in the waivers, like Corey's talking about, picked him off of waivers, right? It's just like
hotbed.
Yeah.
So we like to overreact to him. I like Russell
and
Westbrook.
he's like, I will say he will be sporadic. Like that's just going to happen because I mean a guy who, I mean, but I do think from a bench perspective, I do think from a bench perspective, I think it's the best fit for the Lakers and for his fantasy value for sure. Same with Mathurin, he's the most frustrating move to consider. Yeah, I think it's tough. I think the thing that you kind of have to do with Mathurin is what he's doing right now. Like I don't want to like. I don't think I'm like raining on the parade or anything because I like Mathurin a lot, but I will say like you look at Mathurin and what he's doing right now, even in the best case scenario, is he going to average significantly more than 20 points a game in his rookie year?
No.
Is that even like, do we see that as a realistic possibility? Like Ben Mathurin, we look at the end of the season, we go, hey, hot start. Then he turned it into 26 a game. Dang. No. So if like that's out of the way, and you know where his upside's at. And I'm not even saying sell Mathurin. I'm just saying this season he's gonna be like a 21-4-2 at best, and that's in my opinion is at best.
Yeah,
that's really good for a rookie. Really, really good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's amazing. So I think like understand that it's not a man. He's got this hot start. What could he be mid-season? All-Star break. Where's he at? Like I just don't see a world where he's coming in and averaging 25 a game in his rookie year.
Right.
High teens? Oh, yeah. I mean, I even said 20 as like what we could see from him, but he'll be like a 24-2 guy, you know?
20 space 4 space 2 guy.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's even.
And it's generous. Yeah. I mean, that's a really good rookie season. And I think that's just kind of like what I'm pointing out is like, it's not where could he go from what he's already done. Is what he's doing sustainable, which I do think it kind of is because I think he'll have high usage volume. I have Jokic due to usage percentage availability. I dropped Jamal Murray for MPJ because I didn't want 3 players on the same team. I would have liked to try to trade MPJ.
Yeah.
I would have preferred to do that, but I guess you're saying you picked up MPJ and dropped Jamal Murray. It's tough because Murray probably has the lowest trade value of those 3.
Yeah, I mean, the move makes sense, but
yeah, it's just tough. I mean, and obviously we can sit up here on our pedestal and be like, you should have traded him, idiot. I'm not calling you an idiot, but like, I know it's like in these leagues, you've got decisions you got to make, and you can't always just trade a player because you know some leagues you just don't trade. That's the worst fantasy thing to be in. Like no one will just ever trade or even talk about it. I have Ben Simmons, and I can potentially trade for Russell Westbrook. Should I try and make it? What an outlandish trade, just in general. Ben Simmons for Russell Westbrook, just like the 2 most hated meme social media.
Golly, I wouldn't. points league.
They're probably valued pretty similarly, honestly.
I I don't know, man. I think I would just keep Ben Simmons.
I think so too. I think he's got a higher floor. Like,
Yeah,
obviously, Russ can give you these crazy stat lines with like scoring, but I think Ben Simmons is just like, it would not surprise me if he just is a really, really strong rebound assist season.
yeah,
And then just
like
gives you some scoring.
yeah. Like we talked about this a couple of videos ago. Like he could just be like a solid Draymond Green season. He could be like
Yeah.
an 8-8-8 guy with good defensive stats in
Yeah.
points leagues. Like that's pretty freaking solid.
Yeah. Any faith in Lonzo Ball? Hello, I've got an open IRS. Yeah, I mean, if you've got open IL, I think he should be rostered in a league where you can stash him.
Yeah, I have him in our league that Will and I are both in. I picked him up early and stashed him on IR, but now at this point, I mean, there's just so many people that are down. At least on my team, I've got 6 IL eligible players.
Yeah.
So if there's better guys out there, I'd stash someone else. But if it's a deeper league and you just have a spot and he's the best IL guy, then yeah, definitely.
Yeah. When would you pick up Jaren Jackson on free agency? I'm afraid someone would just snag him closer. I'm waiting for his recovery. Yeah, that's tough. I think it's always dependent on like what, because obviously I'm assuming you're not able to stash him on an IL, that your league is set up where it's maybe you just have to stash him on your bench. And that's tough, man, to hold guys for so long. I think it's just at whatever point you're willing to forfeit the value that the waivers would give you. Right. So whether that's like the week before you're comfortable doing that, or maybe it's a couple weeks. But yeah, I mean, he can be, I don't want to call him like a difference maker, but I think he can come back and be pretty strong, especially with what he can give you, in a category league with blocks. Should I trade Banchero and Cade for Butler, Valanciunas, and Sexton? That's a no for me. I like Jimmy, but that's a pretty strong no in all formats for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Banchero and Cade.
No. Yeah.
Like, are you even getting the best player in that trade?
Right. I don't know.
I don't think you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's close.
Yeah, no, I'm not. That sounds like I think Cade is like leaps ahead of Jimmy Butler, but I'm just saying that like they're close enough in value where I don't want to do that.
Right. Lonzo and Time Lord are available. Probably depends on what you need most at that point.
Yeah.
If you need some guards, if you need some bigs.
Yeah, like I mean, Lonzo hasn't been like amazing for the Bulls, right? And Dosunmu's been pretty good for them. They'll have a pretty crowded guard rotation. Like obviously you expect guys like Dragic to play fewer minutes when Lonzo's back, but
yeah,
I don't think Lonzo is like a smash hold or anything.
Right. I think we need bigs.
I have Val and Butler and 100% give them away for Yeah,
100%.
I agree.
Cat, DeJounte, and Randall for Ja and Butler, 12-team Cat. Yeah.
It's Cat.
It's Cat.
It's 12-team and it's Cat, which makes this kind of like an interesting debacle. Because Ja
Randall is a pretty solid, just extra guy to be.
Right, and in a Cat league, a lot of what like Murray and Cat give you is pretty important versus what Ja and Jimmy give you, right?
Yeah, if it was 10-team, I would say yes, but
I got Sabonis and I'm tripping. Yeah, it's been a weird start for Saboner. Yeah, I could get Christian Wood buy low for Bobby Portis.
Ooh. Yeah, I actually don't hate that move. Bobby Portis along with Brook Lopez, both kind of sell-ish high guys. I agree when Chris comes back, there's going to be some usage out of those two bigs that come down, where it might be kind of what we saw more last season, where it's just either Brook or Bobby.
Yeah, and especially with Middleton back too from just like I was just going to say Middleton back from like an offensive usage standpoint, right? There's just going to be less for Bobby Portis to kind of have these bigger games. There'll be a little fewer and far in between.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think Bobby Portis season long is more of like a 14-9 guy in like a good season. And I think Christian Wood just has a lot more scoring upside, and then the rebounding could be pretty comparable. So
He's been
yeah,
pretty
I would,
good
I would do that.
for the most
Yeah,
part.
I would go Christian Wood over Bobby Portis.
Yo, what's up, Kat? Katie and Jokic have been most consistent players. Jalen Brunson's been an X Factor surprise pick. Yeah, Brunson's been really, really good, especially where he's going in drafts. I feel like initially I thought he was a little overvalued, and then like where he kind of settled on draft boards ended up being pretty late. He was a solid pick. De'Aaron Fox, he's been like efficient in the lane, dude. It's been pretty nasty. He's been good.
I love me some De'Aaron Fox.
So good. All right, I think I know we've kind of been, we did less of a breakdown kind of game to game. I think for the most part, we ended up covering a lot of what we would have covered kind of going through these games. But yeah, I always like the Q&A. I think this kind of format, works better as kind of a Q&A thing, for the most part. You guys don't need to hear us talk about like
games you probably watched.
Right. Yeah. Especially on these small slates for sure. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching. As always, we'll have some videos this week. We're going to be doing some updated rankings for some players, so that'll be fun. Be on the lookout for that this week, as well as the waiver wire videos that we'll be putting out. If you guys aren't on Underdog, NBA player props, we do these streams every day. Use code Canyon at Underdog. Link in the description. 100% deposit match up to $100, $10 minimum. So, if you just want to get a match at the $10, you can do that. NBA player props, there's drafts on there as well. And we do that on the sports betting stream, which I'll put in the chat. I'm going to put this in the chat. So if you guys aren't subbed to this channel, it's actually a separate channel. So we do these streams not on the channel you're hopefully subbed to already. If you're not subbed to this channel, please.
Then what are you
Do
doing?
that.
How do you know that we're here?
Right. But it's a separate channel. So you'll see we did a stream today. We do these pretty much daily, sometimes, miss some weekends, but let me put that in the chat right here. If you guys want to sub to that, would be dope. Appreciate you guys.
Yep. Live 2 p.m. Eastern time, going over that night's slate for player props. Looking at lines on Underdog for that. So check that out.
Yeah.
Come join us tomorrow.
Any closing words? We kind of finished our sellout pitch. You got anything to close out the night? Cade, is Cade is Cade going to be on the All-Star team?
That's what's funny. I actually thought about that last night.
Yeah.
Just it's just typical. Just last night, just
typical late night Cade thoughts.
Yeah. After close game against the Bucks. No, I think he has a legitimate chance. I think we might have to win a little more for him to get some more respect. But,
yeah, that's true.
There's potential there. If not this year, next year, second year guy.
At least what Cade will do this season is make everyone realize that the rookie of the year did not matter at all last season, because Cade is going to clear.
You're going to make me upset again.
Every other player in that class. No offense. I like Scotty.
The Raptors fans. Yeah. Scotty is a beast, but
Scotty's a beast. I like Scotty a lot, but I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yes, Paprika, don't forget to drop a like. Thank you so much. Thank you all you guys for chatting. Appreciate you all. We'll be live tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern on that new channel. Watch out for a video on this channel coming up this week and more streams after some slates. Appreciate you guys for watching. Good night.
Drink some water.
Peace.
Peace out.